You know that learning a language is always thought of something difficult, and sometimes thought about something that's either you have the talent, or you're good at learning languages and do it, or you don't. Which sometimes has the same idea as people who learn how to sing, people who learn how to draw, to paint, or a lot of things related to that. Whereas all of that is just a skill that you're not necessarily born with it, but that you acquire. So what's the difference between learning a language and learning how to ski? It's not much different. Thing is, when you're learning how to ski, you may not have the goal to be a perfect skier. You do not have the goal of being able to ski everywhere, no matter the weather, no matter how difficult it is. You're not thinking, I want to be a professional. But when you're learning a language, that's basically your goal. When your goal is to be fluent in a language, that means that you want to have a level near the level of a native speaker. And that is one of the highest goals that you can have when you're learning a language. Higher than that would be being a translator or an interpret. But beside that, there's not much. And honestly, nobody would really want, to have a higher level than that, because you don't need that at all. And of course, that goal comes from the fact that if you want to go to that country, the one where they speak the language that you're learning, you need to have a near fluent level in order to be able to understand and to interact with each other, with other people, to interact, if you go to a shop, to a store, to the movies, or anywhere basically. So that goal is conditioned by the needs. If you go to a country and you can just say, hi, how are you? It's not much, and you're not going to, appreciate the fact that you learned the language, because you're still stuck. You cannot understand a lot of things. You cannot go to some places because they don't speak English, you don't speak their language, and so there's nothing you can do about it. So you have that high goal because you need it if you go to that country, which you don't have if you start playing football, basketball, if you want to learn how to dance, or even if it's something artistic like I want to learn how to draw, I want to learn how to paint. When you learn how to paint first, you don't think, oh, I want to be able to paint like Picasso or any other artist. You just think, I want to be able to draw, maybe to express my feelings, to be able to draw something that can be recognizable, or something that's. So your goals usually are much lower in any other activity, which is why sometimes people think that learning a language is so difficult, because your goal is really high. And so that doesn't mean that you can't achieve it, only means that it will take more time. Learning a language usually would take you roughly 1.5 years, 2 years, maybe 3. Once again, a lot will depend. There's a lot of factors to take in that I'll cover, in another video. But you cannot just say for any person to learn any language would take the same amount of time. That would be ridiculous. But so once again, there's a problem that learning a language is really difficult because your goals are high, and also because you're not having fun learning it. When you're practicing tennis, practicing dancing, of course there's a lot of rehearsal or there's a lot of practice, but there's also a time when you can just use what you know already to have fun. If you learn how to dance, you can already dance, even if it's sometimes by yourself if you're shy, or if it's tennis, you can just play with the friends, but you can have fun when you do that. So that's also already a reward to show you, hey, you progressed. And while you're also doing that, you're playing with your friend, dancing alone, or drawing by yourself, you are practicing, so you're still improving. Whereas if you take learning a language as learning grammar and doing exercises and listening to boring audios or watching boring videos and reading boring text, which is usually the case. They give you at least at school and in learning centers. You're not having fun in the process. And so usually you don't want to do something that is boring and difficult for 2 years or even a year. You want some kind of reward, and you want to have fun in the process, because if it's not fun, then you need motivation to do that. And there are some moments in your life when you don't have motivation, or you have less motivations. That's normal. That's for every human being. And when that happens, when you don't have any motivation, but you need that motivation to be able to study and learn, then you reach a point where you're not studying anymore, because too difficult, no motivation, no fun. And so you may even get into a spiral that's, the less you study, the less you feel good about studying, and the less you want to study. And so you end up not studying for many days. And if you try getting back to it, you'll see that you've forgot some vocab, some pronunciation, some grammatical rules. And so you may feel even more demotivated by that. And so you may just think, I should just give up. And you give up. That's a normal feeling, and that happens to a lot of people. That happened to me for many languages I started learning as well. But thinking back about it, whatever you learned before, it is not lost. It is forgotten. The difference is, if you study it again, it will come back faster because you already studied it before, so you already learned about it, and so your memory will work in a weird way, but so it will be easier for you to learn something you learned before that rather than learning something new, and it should be faster. So just to say that learning languages is a skill, and it's a skill that have multiple small skills inside. Just like if you're learning how to play basketball, you need to learn how to dribble, you need to learn how to pass the ball correctly, you need to learn how to dunk, maybe in a later stage. You need to be able to learn how to score, etc. There's a lot of things going on. Same for learning a language. It's not just like one skill learning a language. It's like understanding, listening, speaking, writing, understanding the grammar, remembering the vocab, maybe learning how to write it. There's a lot. And we never really learn how to learn a language. Like we never learn how to learn a language. We just kind of learn how to learn, when we're in elementary school, but that's all. And so that's why some people may struggle, to learn the language just because they didn't find the right method for them. But then they just end up thinking, like, learning a language is not for me, I'm bad at learning languages, I should not do it. Even if maybe they want to. But what I can tell from my personal opinion and personal experience, anyone can learn any language. However, the time needed to learn that language will vary depending on each person, depending on the language, depending on so many factors that it's not really possible to tell, how many years it's going to take you. But it's definitely possible for any and every single one of us to learn a language. It's not impossible. It's not just for the people who are skilled. It's not for smart people. Everyone can do it. Just takes time. So if you're learning a language, or if you're thinking about learning a language, don't give up. Don't lose hope. It will take time, and it won't be easy. That is for sure. However, you can do it, just like I can do it, and you just need to keep going, and in the end, you'll be happy that you did not give up and that you were able to learn what you wanted to learn, no matter what language it was.